So in case you aren't in the know, the number of e-bikes on the road has increased dramatically over the last couple years, especially in San Diego, where I live. And this has been due to many factors, including bike sharing services, gasoline being increasingly expensive, e-bike affordability going up, and some of these bikes are just plain fun to ride. But with this increase in e-bike riders, it also means there's an increase in collisions, accidents, and sometimes deaths. In fact, the city of Carlsbad, which lies within the county of San Diego, over the last 3 years has seen bicycle accidents go up a dramatic 233%, with e-bikes being cited as one of the main contributors. And the bike collisions that have occurred include accidents with pedestrians, cars, other bicyclists, and solo accidents. To give some perspective on this issue, in 2019, there were a total of 30 bike collisions in the city of Carlsbad, and only 2 involved e-bikes, or about 6%. In 2020, there were 62 bike collisions, and 8 involved e-bikes, or about 13%. In 2021, it jumped to 100 bike collisions, with 33 involving e-bikes, or 33%. And so far, as of July 31st, 2022, there have been 57 bike collisions, and 32 have involved e-bikes, which is a staggering 56%. And at this rate, there will be 98 accidents by the end of 2022, and 55 will involve e-bikes. This is pretty telling, but honestly, it's not really that surprising. Let me explain. So I was sent an affordable e-bike from a company to review, and it's very similar to the cheaper e-bikes that you see being ridden around cities. The thing is that it's shockingly fast, especially considering that other than the motor, the bike isn't really designed to go fast. The bike is heavy, it doesn't have very progressive geometry, it has underpowered mechanical disc brakes, and a very powerful electric motor that puts down 80 Nm of torque, all the way up to 28 miles an hour. The thing is that this bike is very fast, and it's extremely fun to ride. What makes it so much fun to ride is how sketchy it is. But it's this sketchiness that makes it so dangerous for riders who aren't prepared for a bike that accelerates so quickly, but it doesn't stop very well. The truth of the matter is that these cheaper e-bikes are almost as fast as some gas-powered 50cc scooters. And like these scooters, some of these e-bikes also have throttles. But the brakes just aren't as good, and there's no rules on who can ride them. So if you don't know how to handle a bike like this, or you don't respect its limitations, you're gonna get hurt. So what is the city of Carlsbad doing to address this issue? Well, so far they've approved $2 million in spending, which includes hiring an additional 4 full-time police officers at the cost of $535,000, increasing police department overtime for training and enforcement at the cost of $100,000, installing additional speed feedback signs and electronic messaging boards for $250,000, and developing infrastructure projects and safe driving behavior education at the cost of $1.115 million. The city has also launched a public awareness program and sped up the projects such as traffic circles, speed humps, and wider bike lanes. So my personal feelings on this issue comes down to a couple of different things. First is that I do think that there should be some type of voluntary educational safety class at bike shops where the customer can get an overview of their bike so they understand the limitations and power of an e-bike. They can learn the rules of the road and how to ride defensively and intelligently. Second is that I think that it's also up to the rider of the bike to take some responsibility in being aware of their surroundings when riding on the road and for them to learn their bike. It's really easy to blame a cheap e-bike since they're fast and they don't stop very well, but no one is forcing the rider to buy that particular bike. There's plenty of much better bikes that are just as fast, have amazing brakes, and are just great bikes, but they are super expensive. Lastly, is if the government really wants to make biking safer for commuters, they need to improve the infrastructure. In San Diego, the biking infrastructure is getting better, but there's only about 4 or 5 bike lanes I can think of off the top of my head where the bicyclist is separated from the road traffic, and what I would label as safe from cars. So it would be nice if they were able to widen bike paths and even have it separated between the bike path and the road. But admittedly, this is much easier to talk about doing in a video than actually having to do it in real life. But if this is something that the government really wants to take seriously, they better hurry, because e-bike sales are going up dramatically. In fact, according to an article bicycling.com, 880,000 e-bikes were sold in the US in 2021, and they predict that over 1 million e-bikes will be sold in 2022. But hey, that's just my opinion. But I really want to know, what are your thoughts on how to improve bike safety? Have you noticed an increase in e-bike riders on the road? If so, has the town you live in had an increase in bike-related accidents or deaths? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great one.